Hello, hello, thank you. Applause for free. All right, so basically, just to clarify, this is not a tutorial. So I will show several things. There will be a presentation at the beginning, but then it's all about you trying to build something. I will help you. You'll also get help from your neighbors if they manage to work on the assignments. And as well, we will try to do everything together. But yeah, once again, it's not a tutorial. It's all about writing code. I know that it's 10 in the morning and no one wants to write Python code at 10 in the morning, but let's try to do it for today. All right, so let's start with the presentation. As I said, there is, let me get this. So there will be, the first part of this workshop is a classical talk presentation. I will show you why we're talking about agents and what is CrewAI about. Who knows CrewAI? Anyone? Okay, perfect. Who has experience with agents, writing agents? All right, perfect. So as I said, the first part is about CrewAI. We will see the main components of CrewAI, and this is essentially what we're going to use in the workshop. So there will be 4 assignments, and we will focus on the components that you see here. And then I'll show you the actual assignments, so what we're going to implement during the workshop. I prepared a website for this workshop, so you will see that everything is interactive. You don't need to check the slides, but I will also share the slides right after the talk. So in a few minutes. So you have also an interactive way to keep up with whatever we're doing. Just 1 minute about me. I work as a data scientist. I've been exposed to many domains, ride-hailing, logistics. In a nutshell, one of you, I'm on a stage, but I'm really approachable. So if you have questions, feedback, I'll be happy to answer all the questions you have. All right, let's start with the objectives. Essentially, what I want to do here is show you how to work with agents, but from my perspective, which is not just saying, okay, the agents can save the world. Now a lot of marketing, there is a lot of marketing around the agents. I see that companies are pushing a lot for agents. For me, it's more a software engineering view of what you can actually do with agents. I like to work on solutions for the problems that I see around me. And I saw that working with agents, with CrewAI and also some other frameworks is actually useful. It's not that agents cannot solve problems. They can definitely solve a class of problems. So we will focus on those. What is Agentic AI? Essentially, when we talk about agents, we're basically talking about an entity that can take actions. And the idea is that we have the reasoning implemented through the LLM, and then this agent that is working in a specific environment with some rules and constraints can take actions, for instance, to go from A to B or to solve an issue. Why are we talking about agents now? I mean, not today, but in this period. Essentially, it's because of LLMs. With LLM, we have now the chance, so agents is not something new. I was studying agents, autonomous agents also years ago when I was a student. So it's not a new topic. But what changes now is that we have the LLM that actually gives us the reasoning core of the agent. Before it was complicated because the agent, in order to let an autonomous agent to work, to do something in an environment, you need to write something that is dynamic. And if something changes in the environment, and you can imagine that in the real world, we have a lot of constraints, we have the law of physics. I mean, it's a very complicated. The agents need something dynamic in order to take actions. And this is why now agents are getting famous again, because we have this sort of reasoning implemented under the hood. When we say reasoning, some people don't like this kind of wording around the agents. It's just a label for me. I don't care about reasoning. I mean, maybe we don't really reason like that. We don't even know how human beings reason. Let's just use this word for convenience. Once again, when can we call it an agent? Imagine you have to go, let's use the example of the environment. You have to go from A to B, and this is a dynamic environment with a lot of rules and constraints. If you're working with a deterministic solution, you know that there are certain there are, let's say, 10 rules to go from A to B. And you know how to write that function, and you know how to go from A to B. The problem is that when the environment is dynamic, you need to adapt with whatever comes next. And if something happens in the middle, you need to react. So you need to make your software, your algorithm dynamic. With agents, we are able, thanks to the LLM, to react and to act to something that you didn't think about, you didn't put into your algorithm. So the agent can take actions. In addition to that, we usually talk about agents in terms of entities that can use tools, so they can use extra tools. You probably saw this when you were using ChatGPT. Now, when you use ChatGPT, you're not just using the LLM, the raw LLM, but instead you're using some sort of agents, and every time you see that ChatGPT is, for instance, doing some math or is doing some, I don't know, programming, data analysis, that is actually a tool that is encapsulated in the answer, and the agent, in this case ChatGPT, is able to use this tool to provide extra information. This is one of the key points of the agents. And once again, I mean, finally, if you know how to go from A to B, this is like machine learning. If you know how to write a deterministic function, don't use an agent, don't use machine learning, just write the function. A bit of history, even though is a bit fascinating that we're talking about history, because this is a new topic, and now when we talk about RAG, we think about something that is already old, even though is a new topic. So what happened in 2022 is that we started talking about LLMs and using LLMs a lot. For many different problems. And in a nutshell, when we use an LLM, we're sending a query, we have a model under the hood, and we generate an answer. That's pretty much it. And if you remember, a lot of people were making fun of ChatGPT because ChatGPT didn't know who was the president of the United States in, I don't know, some years ago. And they were like, okay, it's so smart, but it doesn't know, or she doesn't know the president of the United States. Ha ha ha, that was the joke, that's it. But instead, that was actually by design, because of course, if you're not training the LLM with those information, the LLM doesn't know anything. And this comes into the game, now comes into the game, the RAG. With retrieval augmented generation, we're able to give more information that have not been part of the training set to the LLM in order to generate an answer that is a mix of knowledge that the LLM has plus the RAG. And finally, we move to the agents. The agent is a kind of third step in history, let's say. And it's pretty much what you see here. So we still have the LLM, we have some tasks that are assigned to the agents, some tools that the agents can use, and we don't use the direct output that we get from the LLM. But instead, we have some sort of reasoning. There is this loop that you see here that is implementing the reasoning process. So the LLM is helping the agent to reason about what comes next and perhaps adjust the output in order to provide something that fits the problem that you want to solve. CrewAI is not the only one. There are also some other alternatives, just to be clear. We have LangChain, LangGraph. I tried them all. I really love to use CrewAI when it comes with agents because it's simple, it goes straight to the point, and also in terms of if you're coming from Python and you're coming from the interfaces we're used to see, CrewAI does a very good job with that. All right, so what is this package about? Essentially, we have a package that is implementing a lot of interesting and complex things under the hood, so we don't have to take care about it. When I say complex things, I'm talking about, for instance, orchestration and some of the core components like agents, tasks, and crews that we're going to see in the next slides. With this package, we have the reasoning under the hood, and we have the orchestration, because essentially with CrewAI, we're basically working with a team. What we do with CrewAI is once we select the problem that we want to solve, the next step is to create a crew of agents that are going to work for you on that problem. One example is, let's say that I want to work on a marketing report. And I know that there are several steps, and writing a huge prompt gets very complicated whenever you have a lot of parameters, you have a lot of constraints, and then you end up with a huge string that the next person has to maintain. Instead of doing that, you can create a team of agents, and each agent is specialized on something. For instance, you have an agent that is creating the final report. You have an agent that is doing some data analysis, or you have an agent that is browsing the web in order to enhance your query. So this is an example of 3 agents that will be part of a crew, and this crew is your actual application that is about solving this marketing problem we're talking about. All right. Let's dive into the coding part. I hope this is clear. I will show the slides in a few seconds. And as I said, it will be a website, so even if you don't read the code very well, it's okay. We start with the first component. This is the interface for the agent. When you import agent from CrewAI, you basically have this entity that is one of those components I was talking about. So this is one of the components of the team. You are probably familiar with this way of also talking to the LLM. How many prompt engineers we have in these rooms? No one wants to say that, right? I'm a prompt engineer. Just kidding. Anyhow, when you write a prompt, one of the things that we do is, especially when we start the prompt, is you are an expert on this field and you studied computer science for 10 years. Please do that. This is pretty much what I just said. So we're trying to define the role of the agent. We're trying to say, okay, you are about doing this. This is what you are. But I'm not telling you what to do. There's nothing about the task here. We're not telling the agent, this specific agent, the agent 2, what to do. We're just saying, okay, you are this entity, and what comes next is what you're going to do. And this is the interface that we use to tell the agent what to do, the task. With the task, we have a description, which is exactly what is going to happen. We have an expected output, which is a very powerful way to force the output. How many of you struggled with the output of an LLM? You say 100 times, please give me a JSON, please, 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 please. It's something else. You get an image, maybe. So I feel you, this is a huge problem, and with interfaces like this, with frameworks like this, what usually works really well is that you can force the output. You can use the expected output, or as we're going to see in the assignments, you can use Pydantic. And this task is going to be assigned to the sales agent. So the agent is going to work on this. The sales agent is going to work on this one. Then we put everything together, all our tasks, all our crews, in the crew. The crew is the final kind of application that puts together all the agents. So this is basically our team that is going to solve something specific. As you can see here, we have the list of agents, tasks. We have a process. The process is how we're going to execute the tasks and how the agents are going to work. The agents are going to work on the problem. In this case, we're saying the process is sequential, so we're going to tackle the tasks one by one. There is also another type of process. We will see it soon. We can say something about the output and some extra logging. Speaking of the process, we have essentially 2 different ways of executing the tasks and working with the agents. The first one is sequential. As we said, we tackle the tasks one by one. The second one, which is probably the most interesting, is hierarchical. Here we have the team working as an actual team of people led by a manager. So we will have another agent that is acting as a manager and is orchestrating the work of the agents. This is a very powerful concept because one example of how to use a manager is, let's say that you're planning your vacation and you're using a crew to do so. The manager can be sure that one specific constraint is going to be met. One example is you want the total budget to be above 200 euros. The manager will let the agents work, but it will keep in mind that you have this constraint, so the output will be kind of led by the manager. And if something goes wrong, if one agent finds an auto that costs 2,000 euros, the manager will say, no, you have to go back, work again on your task, and give me something that meets the constraint. Then we have the tools. This is also one of the most powerful topics in Agentic AI, because here we're basically giving the possibility to the agent to use something that is kind of not part of the LLM. And we're saying, okay, this specific research agent is able to use the SerperDev tool. Who knows this SerperDev tool? Okay, this is part of the workshop anyhow. The SerperDev tool is a very powerful tool. You will enjoy it because it gives you the possibility to browse the web. So you give this tool to the agent, and the agent, if is necessary, will browse the web to get more information, And you don't have to do anything on top of this apart from telling the agent, hey, you use this tool, SerperDev tool, that's it. And based on the task you're giving to the agent will decide whether to use the tool or not. One more thing about the tool, by the way, if you want, and we will see it in the assignments, you can also write your own tools. Let's say you have some some domain within your organization, and you know that in order to create, there is an agent that is creating an email for the people you're going to onboard in your organization. That logic is something that belongs to you. If you want, you can write a custom function and give it to the agent in this specific way, essentially like this. But instead of SerperDev tool, you're using your own function, and the agent will be able to use it. One more important topic is flow. This is also something, of course, that we're going to see in the assignments, and essentially is a very nice way to take care of LLM hallucinations. Do you know what is it? I think we all know what is LLM hallucinations. And essentially is when the LLM is giving you something that is completely unrelated, not correlated to the input you're giving to the LLM. So you get an answer that is completely all over the place. With this flow from CrewAI, we can create some sort of different paths into our application, and we can create essentially some different flows to say, okay, the crew is doing this, but if that specific action happens, I want to perhaps recreate a new output, call another crew, and so forth, so on. The nice thing about flow is that you get it out of the box as part of CrewAI, and in some situations it's really helpful. For instance, when you want to write guardrails, and we will see how to do it next. Then we have conditional tasks. This is also another way to create some dynamic conditions that can be leveraged by the agents. Essentially, we have seen the tasks before. This is another type of task. Essentially, the interface is almost the same, but what's different here is that we can say, okay, we have a task that is dependent on a specific event, and if this event happens, if it's true, for instance, we will decide whether to let the agent work on this task or not. Then we have a different way to handle the input and the output. This is a very technical thing. Usually when I do the classical talk, I don't really explain the input-output, but in this case, this will be useful for the assignments. There are different ways you can essentially pass the output from the crew to the agents and to the tasks. These are two examples. What you need to know essentially is that when you deal with input and output, you're basically dealing with something that you can control very well, and you can say, for instance, okay, this specific task get this expected output, which is an image URL, and as you can see here, I'm basically referring to the image URL as a key value pair. So it's really what you would expect from a dictionary. And in addition to that, as I said, we can also use Pydantic to force the output to be a specific class or instance of something. This is an example. So it's very long because we have basically a full application here. We have a crew, we have agents, we have everything. Essentially here, what we're doing is creating an agent. This is the weather agent. And then we have the task that is going to be assigned to the agent. Then we have the crew, which only has one agent and one task. And when we call crew kickoff, we're basically calling our application. This is a full working application. And then if we want to access the output, we have different ways. And this is what I was referring to before. It's a very powerful concept because when you access the output, you can use Pydantic, you can access it as a JSON dictionary, you can get the raw content. So there are different ways. And usually, of course, I like to use Pydantic because it's quite powerful in this context. Then we have asynchronous crew kickoff. If you want, you can call different crews at the same time in an asynchronous way. Who is familiar with asynchronous functions calls? Okay, good enough. If you want to know more during the workshop, we can talk about what an asynchronous function is eventually. Here, essentially, thanks to CrewAI, we can easily kick off the crew in a synchronous way against different outputs, and we will see in the assignments that in some cases it's really helpful. All right, so we're getting close to the hands-on. What is this gonna be about? So essentially, what I want to do, I just write, these are not rules, more like guidelines, whatever, just to give you an idea what we're gonna do. First of all, there will be a website that I made for this workshop. You will find all the information, all the code that you need, all the help that you need to write the code. Once again, feel free to ask me anything. Also questions for which I don't know the answer, that's completely fine. Share your ideas with your neighbors, please, because if someone already had a solution, or if someone doesn't want to write code, or they want to, or if you want to work in a group, just please do it. Try to help each other, and get creative. I wrote the assignments, but if you want to do more, if you want to change something in the assignment, or you say, okay, I really don't want to work in this direction, I want to do something that is more interesting to me because I'm working on this actual problem, do it. The assignment is just to give you some guidelines of what to do, but if you want to change it, feel free to go in a different direction. Now, I created, who knows this reference? No one knows about this symbol? Yeah, I'm old, it's okay, no worries. I'm gonna leave now. All right, so this is this is a website I made. Please access the website. This is from this symbol is whoever tells me from this symbol from where it comes from, get a prize. Yeah, but you just said yes. He gave the answer. Yeah, you get an extra T-shirt. That's what I can do. All right, so it's coding time. This is the website. Please access the website. If it doesn't work, the workshop ends here. Really? I hope so. Let's check. You know, as I usually say, it works for me. So, can you access the website? Maybe the link was wrong. I don't know. Okay, Serper has a problem. Someone already told me. That's not a big issue because this is an extra tool. So if we want, we just don't use it. It's completely fine. It's completely fine. So if we want, we just we can avoid the tool, using the tool. I'll show you how to do it. It's just as simple as not including it in the list of tools. That's it. If you manage to get a Serper dev tool open key, that's nice, but you won't really see the difference apart from seeing the agent browsing the web. All right, let me explain you how this website works. Essentially, we have all right. Essentially, what I made here is a way to make this thing interactive because showing the slides is complicated for this kind of things. You have these API keys. There is also a list. There is also a message about what to do if you don't have an OpenAI key. CrewAI is LLM agnostic. That means that you can pretty much use anything depending on what CrewAI provides in terms of interfaces. If you have an interface for a specific LLM in CrewAI, you can use it. Now, the very tough question, who doesn't have access to an LLM? I'm talking about having a key that gives it, okay. Only 3 people, are we sure? 3, 4, 5? Okay, it's 20. Okay, it's okay, no worries. This is a very important step, so let's try to get a key. You can use OpenAI, you can use the trial, you can use one of those. The most important thing is, if you want to use one of those, the most important probably, you will probably have an interface in CrewAI. If you want to use one of those, just make sure that you go here on the website and you check LLMs, just to be sure that the LLM that you want to use is supported by, here it is, provided configuration, is supported by CrewAI. Best thing is just get an OpenAI key. If someone has an OpenAI key, an OpenAI account, and you already have a key, maybe you can, I can also do it if you want, just come to me. You can create a temporary key for someone else. It will probably cost $1 doing this exercise, so it's not probably less, 20 cents. So if you need a key, you eventually can also come to me. We can work that out. But at the same time, please have a look at what is provided by CrewAI, because probably among all these services, you can get something for free, trial, or whatever. Yeah, if you have suggestions. Okay, if you find a solution, my suggestion is, can you write it on Discord? Since no one is using it, let's make a good use of Discord. And no one answers my questions on Discord, so let's go to the room. What's the name of this room? Who knows? Yeah, thank you. We go to the room, and you leave whatever you find. This is a good suggestion. As I said, make sure that you have the provider supported by CrewAI. All right, the second step, once you get the key, is separate dev tool doesn't work, it's okay, is installing CrewAI. I'm leaving here the steps in case you're not familiar with it, but this is a classical creating a directory, installing the dependencies. I'm leaving the poetry file. Who is familiar with PyProject TOML? Okay, so please ask your neighbors if you want to know how to use it. Essentially, inside the PyProject TOML, if we ever look at it, we have something like this. So we have the dependencies, and you don't really have to look into this. You just have to use poetry install, and that's it. If you don't have poetry, please install poetry. If you don't like poetry, you can use UV, whatever you want. If you want to do everything from scratch, if you want to use virtualenv, just get this O114 version of CrewAI, and for this Python, you have to use this Python version. You can create a new virtual environment, and then you're ready to go. So there are many ways. And if you need more clarification on this, please do it as soon as possible, because this should take 2 minutes. But if you need clarification, please just raise your hand. I will not help you with the microphone. I'm coming to you, so we keep everything secret. If you say, hey, I don't know what's the TOML is, please help me. Okay, it stays between us. More about this website. Once you are set up and you have the poetry, you did run poetry and you have your CrewAI, we will start looking into the assignments. Here we have 4 assignments. One example is your first assignment. We create a simple agent. You have all the information that you need here. You have the links, useful links, and then you have a section with code examples, which in most of the cases is essentially almost what you have to do. So it should be pretty straightforward. And then in addition to this, there will be, for some of these assignments, let's have a look at another example. We have this, not here. We have this fire bonus feature. So if you look at it, you can have some bonus feature if you're really good at CrewAI and you manage to go through all the assignments, you can simply work on the bonus feature. Who already completed all the assignments? If someone completes all the assignments in very fast, I can create another one on the fly. I have another one in mind. All right, so I don't want to go through the first assignment for now because I give you a couple of minutes to set up your machines, and I'm just kind of walking here to see if someone needs help. For whoever is watching this remotely, because I think we're streaming this, right? Please send a message on Discord, and I will check if you need help, if you need support. All right. Who needs help with the installation of packages or anything? When you download this TOML file, I didn't write this here, but that's a good question. You get a .toml download, I guess, close to it. Yeah, you have to get rid of this. You have to save it as pyproject.toml. Otherwise, when you run Poetry install, it won't be recognized by Poetry. That's it. Who doesn't have access to the website? Okay, I'm glad. Someone was trying to, yeah, I'm coming. Someone was trying to install CrewAI in a Google Colab notebook. That's also possible. If you don't have it installed, just run !pip install CrewAI, and then you have it available in your Google Colab notebook. All good? Shall we move to the first assignment? Okay. Who doesn't want to move to the first assignment? Only me. All right. First assignment, your first agent. So this is essentially a very simple assignment to see that whatever you did until now is working, is correct. You have an API key that is letting you access the LLM. And essentially here, what I want to do, as you can see here, for each assignment, we have an overview of what you have to implement, the steps of your application. In this case, we get the input. This is an overview. I mean, this is not kind of, you don't have to exactly implement these steps. This is an overview. In most of the cases, it's exactly like this, but it's just for you to understand the flow. You have the input, the user prompt, and the target LLM. Essentially, what we're doing here is creating a multi-eye agent that focuses on prompt engineering optimization. Essentially, we're doing prompt enhancement. This is what happens when you use, for instance, ChatGPT. The LLM doesn't really get your prompt, but it gets a prompt that has been enhanced by in ChatGPT itself by another agent. And this is what we're going to do. So we get the prompt that you want to send to the LLM, the target LLM. The target LLM is not the LLM that you're using. It's just a string. Like this crew is about getting a prompt, getting a string, and then the goal of the crew, the goal of this application is, given the prompt and given the potential LLM where you want to execute this prompt, we're going to do some prompt engineering optimization, some enhancement. So this target LLM is not the LLM that you're using under the hood. It's just, okay, this prompt, optimize it for ChatGPT, for DeepSeek, so far so on. Then we have the actual improving structure. So this will be an agent that focuses on improving the structure of the prompt. Then we have another agent that is about improving for the target model, and then the final output. The agent that you have to implement are, as we said, the prompt structure agent. This is an agent that get the prompt, improve the structure, and then the optimization for the LLM. This is another agent that, given this well-structured prompt that is prepared by the first agent, is making this better for the target LLM. That's pretty much it. Please read through all the things I wrote here. You have useful links like agents, because we're going to implement an agent, the task, which are the tasks that we're going to assign to the agents, the crew, so the final wrap of all the agents and all the tasks, process sequential, because we want to run the process in a sequential mode, and LLM agnostic. Check the LLM that you're using, because, of course, when I do it, I can show you an example. Assignment 1, here I have just the agent, implementation, and the get crew. Okay, this is a function for getting the tasks. And the main function that is kicking off the crew. And I'm not saying anything about the LLM. I'm just saying, I'm just using this out of the box. I'm not saying I'm using OpenAI. Why I'm not saying anything here? Because if you want, you can tell CrewAI, please use this specific LLM. And as you can see here in this example, here you have all the things that you need. Otherwise, if in your system you have this OpenAI, this is what I have now, OpenAPI key saved. This is the default model that is used by CrewAI, so I don't have to do anything on top of it. Otherwise, you can do things like this. You say, this is the LLM that I'm using. You don't need this extra parameter. You just need the model. And then whenever you want to work with this LLM, you just assign it to the crew. Let me show you an example. This is also how you can use CrewAI documentation. Of course, they're using CrewAI for this. All right. You have an agent. You have a second agent. What's interesting is that for this specific example, we're using this LLM. And for this second example, we use another LLM. This is an example where two agents are basically using two different LLMs. That's not really what we want to do. We want to use the same LLM for all the agents. My advice is to write something like this. You write the LLM, you tell the LLM object what's the key, the base URL of the LLM. You get this from the LLM documentation, and the model. That's it. The temperature is optional. And then whenever you work with the agents, you always define this. You say, okay, this is the LLM that I'm using, and it will be the same for all the assignments. All right. Now you have everything to start working on the first assignment. And in a few minutes, we'll go through the solution, and I'll show you what I did for this. Questions? I'll repeat the question. All right, so CrewAI init, or in general, CrewAI CLI is not part of the workshop, so we're going to use the agents, the tasks, and all the classes directly. CrewAI CLI is useful if you want to set the project in a specific way that eventually lets you write the agents and the tasks in a YAML file, which is also useful for when you deploy CrewAI on CrewAI Enterprise. but that's not part of the workshop. If you want, you can use init. My advice is not to use the CrewAI CLI for now and to focus on writing the actual agents and tasks in Python. And also the structure of the project is more clear because one crew is essentially this. Here I have some extra input parameters, but this is one crew. I mean, we're talking about 100 lines of code and a lot of comments. That's it. With CrewAI init, you get so many things. Okay, if you have questions, just I'll come to you. No worries. You have a few minutes for this. This is too easy. I didn't even want to include it into the workshop, right? It's too easy. And if you don't want to write code, which is completely fine because it's too early in the morning, please pay with someone else. Try to work with someone else. Also with me, if you want to come here, we can write code together. I'm not chatting, I'm checking Discord. Just who is still stuck at configuring the packages, poetry? Shall we all gather in that part of the hall? So yeah, let's gather there. Let's do a quick workshop in the workshop. A couple of things. First, in this very tiny link, because I'm not a good front-end developer, there is the presentation. So if you click on this presentation, I'm sorry, I'm a data scientist. I get what I deserve. This presentation, you go to the presentation, so you have all the things that we have seen. This is very useful because you can just go here and see, okay, agents, tasks, crews, and the other components. In addition to this, okay, a couple of things that I learned from you. Use a Google Colab if your environment is broken, you don't know how to fix it, you have problem with certificates, so far so on. Work in a Google Colab. The way you do it is that you open the Google Colab notebook, you do pip install, you install CrewAI, and you're ready to go. In order to export the OpenAI key and to have it ready, usually you can, if you're working into the terminal, you can just do export OpenAI key. It's not really called like this. I think it's, okay, there's a different name, but please check the documentation. And then you put your secret here. When you export, you have this available for CrewAI, which recognizes the key automatically if it's ChatGPT, if it's OpenAI. If you're using something else, we go with what we have seen before. So we create this object LLM, and we tell it where the key is and which model you want to use. All right, we have, how is going on? Okay, someone who has a question. How is going on with the first assignment? Who needs help with the first assignment? Okay, anyone else? Just, yeah, up. No worries. I also need help. It's okay. Okay. All right. One useful feature that you can use in the Python project TOML is this, package mode false. If you have this, you should not complain about the workshop folders. And I'm pretty sure that this was part of the TOML file. Yeah. So 1 minute and we will check the solution. All right, let's check the solution of the first assignment. Of course, I don't think we will finish all the assignments today, but that's why I have the website, so you can do it also later, and I will provide the solutions in the same repository. All right, so what I did for the first assignment, as we said, we want to have this prompt announcement feature application. What I'm doing here is creating 2 different agents. Is it Shall I zoom in? Can you all read the code? Shall I decrease the lights? Can I can try. All right, I start in the meantime. So basically, I have two agents. As we said, the first one is about prompt structure engineering. So we want to get the prompt. I just came up with this thing, right? So you decide how to. You can also do everything in one agent. For the sake of the exercise, I want to split this. So the first agent is about improving the prompt structure of the prompt. The second agent takes the prompt that has been improved and it will optimize it for the LLM. What I'm saying here is prompt structure expert, improve the structure of the prompt, clarity, blah, blah, blah. A goal for the LLM optimization agent. Optimize specialist, LLM prompt. You are a specialist optimizing prompt for different LLMs models. Okay. I tend to use verbose, especially for this workshop, so we can see the full output and the reasoning behind that is done by CrewAI. And then what I like to do is wrapping tasks into functions. This is a lot of comment, okay? So it's just a few lines of code. Instead of just writing tasks and passing the output, as I showed you also in the assignment, I'm basically wrapping the two tasks into a function, and I'm returning these tasks. In this case, I'm returning the crew. Why am I doing this? Because I have two input parameters. One parameter is the prompt, and the other one is the target LLM, the target model. And I want to put these two strings, because essentially we're talking about strings, into the description of the task. This is what I put into the task. Can be also way simpler than this. And as you can see here, I'm using the Python formatting to put the prompt into the string. And I'm doing the same for the task, for the optimization task. Optimize the enhanced prompt for the target model. Let's have a look at the first task. What I'm doing is giving the instruction. I will apply this to the prompt that I get as input, and the agent that I'm assigning this task to is the prompt structure agent, and the expected output is something very relaxed. I'm not working with Agentic, with dictionaries. I'm just saying an enhanced version of the prompt with improved structure and clarity. How does it work in terms of sequential tasks? This task will be connected to the second one. So the second one has access to what we see here, so the output of this task. If you want to be, let's say, diligent, you have to do what I showed also in the input-output slide. And you say something like improved prompt something, all right? Then the second task gets whatever you get from this task, plus something else. This is a string. I'm not doing anything with CrewAI, and this is a string that I get from this function. By doing this, I have the two tasks initialized with what I needed inside the description, and I can give the tasks to the crew. I have the two agents. Of course, the agents are here. We saw them before. And then I have the two tasks, and I'm using process sequential. The process sequential is needed because we want to execute these two tasks one after the other. And that's it. We're returning the crew. If you wrap everything into a function, it's definitely easier for handling input-outputs and, as I said, encapsulating more strings into the descriptions. In the main, I'm just getting the crew with the function that we just saw. I am, so in this case, this is the prompt, write a story about a robot. The target model is GPT-4, can be anything else. And in this case, I'm just writing some extra stuff to show the output. Do you want me to run this? Shall we? Or yeah. I wasn't expecting you to be so excited about running it. All right. Perfect. All right. So this is very nice because when you use verbose, you get a lot of extra information. Now this seems not super useful, but when you write a big application, this is the final output. When you write a big application, the verbose can be very useful to understand what is happening behind. Sometimes we are dealing with a lot of not deterministic processes thanks to the LLMs. And understanding what CrewAI is kind of thinking, it helps us to see, okay, especially when we have hierarchical process. Okay, this task was assigned to this agent, but the manager decided to go in a different direction and call another agent. Why? And then you can see the reasoning behind, because all these agents are explaining everything about the kind of thinking process. All right, then this is the final prompt about the story of a robot. Yes, robot. All right, probably have questions about this. I will answer them. But for now, let me introduce the second. Yeah, try to pair up, please, if you can. Let me go to the second assignment, and then I will stick around to answer questions about the first one. Who needs the solution of the first assignment right now? Okay, I will, I'll think about it. All right, content creation guardrails. The second assignment, the second assignment is about creating content with guardrails. This is a very common thing we do with the LLM. Essentially, what we're doing here is creating an agent that creates content for you, but on top of this, we're basically using the flow. So we have these steps: content creation, safety check, output. We can have one crew with only one agent. It can be very simple, or multiple agents, that's up to you. And the way we call the crew, you have the code here, is basically this one. We have this flow that helps us to call the crew, check the output of whatever we get from the crew, and then eventually it decides to recreate the output if something goes wrong. For instance, the content contains violence, or continue and return the final output of the application. If you check this example, we have generate vacation plan, task, crew. We kick off, and then we get a result. We save the result into the state. This is the state that we're using. And then in the second step, we're using these decorators to take advantage of the flow. In the second step, we're checking if what we get out of the LLM is contains violence or not. If it's not valid, we move to recreating the content through the crew, or we move to the final output. What you see here is essentially what you have to use. So you can take this code and use it as it is. The only thing is that you have to adapt it to your crew. So you cannot use task vacation plan, but you're going to write something like, okay, your crew is creating some content. All right. In the meantime, I will share the solutions. and I'll answer questions. We have a few minutes, but I think we can get 5 more if you want to. All right. Okay, for you to know now, if you go here to the GitHub page of the workshop, you have the website and you have a folder called solutions. So you have all the solutions here. Yeah. Also, if you want to run a workshop, if you want, you can use this website. Hopefully, it will be useful for someone else after the PyCon. Yeah. So the solution of the first assignment is there, but also the other ones, if you're stuck. And now I'll stick around for questions. All right, we're running out of time. But we're checking if what comes next. So if you want to stay for 5 minutes more, we can use the Q&A, kind of ask questions, or I can help you with whatever you're doing now.
So we have a couple of questions, Alessandro. So can we start with questions?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for the great participation, and thank you, Alessandro, for delivering such a wonderful tutorial. So before we wrap up, we have a couple of questions which are coming in Slido. So I'll be representing them on behalf of all the attendees. So first thing, why are we are moving to MCP? Does CrewAI also support this instead of writing my custom tools?
I don't know, honestly. I didn't use it, and I'm not aware. I suggest you check the documentation. I really don't know.
Okay, next question is, can you brief about CrewAI versus AutoGen?
Versus AutoGen?
Yeah.
So versus AutoGen or also versus LangGraph, I think that what I like about CrewAI is that it has a simple interface. So I like the interface. It's, in my opinion, simpler compared to many other frameworks that I see around. So especially if you're starting out with agents, it's not a big step to use CrewAI. So that's, in my opinion, one of the most interesting things. And I like these separations between agents, tasks, crews. That's a nice concept. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, could you recommend CrewAI in production? What should I consider as a developer?
Yeah, that's a question I get all the times. Yes and no. I mean, there are so many. It depends on what you do with it. If you're working with a simple application, you get a lot of nice things that you don't get from using the raw APIs of an LLM. Definitely, you can play with the outputs. You have separations of tasks, crews, agents. So I like that. But at the same time, I found myself also contributing to CrewAI for bugs that I wasn't expecting to see in the library because it's a new library. So yeah, yes and no. It depends on what you want to do and what kind of application you want to have in production.
Well, so the next question is, super.dev gives me bad request when I try to sign up. Any clues?
Separate dev tool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently today is not working. So bad for them. They could have gained so many customers.
Okay. So one last question. How does CrewAI address the problem that even a 90% success rate on a single call over multiple sequential calls compounds to much lower overall success rate?
Can you repeat? Maybe I'll also read it. It's a long question. Can I help?
The first one.
You know, I'm not sure about. Maybe this anonymous person can write something more about this. I didn't really get it. So when you say steps, you're talking about having multiple, for instance, tasks in the same crew? Yeah. Well, this is where the framework comes in to help, I guess, because you have some control on top of it. You're not just like calling an endpoint, an OpenAI endpoint as it is, and then whatever you get is the final output. You have some, for instance, we have seen before the guardrails. Whenever you are calling a crew and something goes wrong, because it does, it happens, what you say it is what we're working with in terms of generative AI. When something goes wrong, you have some guardrails and you can force the output, you can force the crew to recreate the output and kind of play with the flow of the execution. So you do have some tools that can help you that are provided by CrewAI. Yeah, and another thing that I have in mind is orchestration hierarchical. Whenever you have this agent that is taking care, because sometimes you have agents that are working on something that has a very low success rate. Maybe you're asking the agent to find a solution of some universal, I don't know, some kind of super specific problem. But if you use hierarchical, you have another agent that is on top of all the agents that is overseeing the work of the underlying agents as a manager. And that helps to maybe, I don't know, say, okay, you cannot find a solution, I'll try with another agent, I can write a report about why we didn't make it, things like this. And also if you are aware of the problem you're solving, you can also build the crew in a way that if there is no possible solutions, for instance, with flow or guardrails, you can force application to say, okay, there is no solution, just say it, that is not possible, yeah. But that's a good question. It was complicated. It felt like a light code from Google. That's it.
Okay, that's all we got. Maybe you can take this question offline. So thank you so much, everyone, for being this tutorial interactively. And thank you so much, Alessandro, once again, for delivering such a wonderful workshop. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, whoever has questions, I'll stay here for 5 minutes more. So feel free to approach me.